Former FBI special agent and profiler for 28 years, Mary Ellen O'Toole joins us now. Mary Ellen, this is like something out of a movie. These guys pull a big, a ladder lift up to the Louvre. They apparently broke or cut through the glass, and then they cut through display cases and were gone in a matter of minutes. So where do you start with a case like this? Where do you look?
Well, the first thing that they're doing now is they're looking at the case in terms of the behavior of the offender. So, for example, this is an extremely high-risk crime, which means that one of the four offenders has had prior experience with committing very high-risk crimes. Most of the time when you see a robbery or burglary or any kind of a crime, the offenders try to be as low-key as they can. But there's a comfort level here that pre-existed the crime. So that will be helpful actually to narrow down the pool of suspects. With a crime like this, there has been enormous amounts of planning. So that planning likely went back months, if not years. So that is a lot of planning. And during each of those planning sessions, those offenders ran the risk of being seen, being photographed. And then third, the question is, did they access that room because that was the easiest room to access, or were they accessing the jewels? So that really is yet to be determined. I think that information will be pretty easily resolved quickly. Because the question is, did they use the equipment that was already there so they could blend in as construction workers, or did they move it there specifically for the theft? That's not as likely. It's likely that they used what was already there. And then finally, they made mistakes. They dropped things, they left things behind. Each item that they dropped or left behind, guess what, has the potential of having forensic evidence on it.
I would think that they would have spent a long time sort of casing the display area where they used a power saw, a grinder, to cut through the glass. Mm-hmm. If you look at surveillance video going back over the last year, I would think you're going to see people paying an awful lot of attention to that Napoleonic crown, right?
Absolutely. They had to have some kind of planning outside and inside of that building. So they had to know that these are the items that we can access. This is how quickly, these are the tools that we'll need, and this is the game plan. So that's going to be incredibly important, is to go back in time to see when that planning started. And again, I don't think it's weeks. I think it's more likely months or even years. And then they'll also have a post-offense plan, which means, where did they take the jewels? Where did they hide them? Who else might be aware of where they are so that they could be stashed for days, weeks, months, or years? So again, when you talk about a well carried out plan, you say, was the planning in the beginning? Was it in the middle? Was it in the end? Or did it cover all phases of the plan? And in this case, it does seem like it covered all phases.
And where do you fence stuff like this? I mean, it's not exactly easy to take a crown that belonged to Napoleon's queen and say, here, give me a couple of million for this.
No, that's such a good point. It's highly unlikely that they'll go to some source to try to sell it. That's just not. Those items are too hot right now, and they will be for years. So they have to have a source that they ultimately plan to use so that they can benefit from this theft. But right now, part of the planning is, where do we take these things so that we and these items can probably lay low for an extended period of time, because they can't exactly post this on social media and say, we'll go with the lowest bid. That's not going to happen. Yeah. So a lot of the planning had to involve, what do we do with these items once we take them?
And the one that, as you mentioned, was dropped outside, I mean, that suggests that they were panicked or, having some kind of a problem.
Well, what's so interesting about that, when I've seen crimes where the offenders, they're successful, but not 100%, and someone dropped that crown and left it behind, once these people got to the location where they could talk about what happened, they're going to be upset with one another. And whoever dropped that crown, how did you do that? What happened? You messed it up. You've left things behind. You could get us caught. So that has caused in-house fighting between them, because that was a mistake. That was not intended to happen.
Yeah. This is a feature film in the making. We're going to keep watching it. Mary Ellen O'Toole, former FBI special agent, thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.